season where his mom comes back and they're in the kitchen and talking to each other, and he's sort of avoiding her eye contact and trying not to look at her, and he's very, very frustrated with her. And the Ben McKenzie character, or the Ben McKenzie actor, he's doing a remarkable amount of acting in that scene, and really portraying a kid who's been abused and neglected really, really well. I think not wanting to trust his mom and avoiding the eye contact. I that really jumped out off the screen at me.
I mean, who else would be up there? Maybe Sandy, like the guy who played Gallagher.
Sure, Peter Gallagher. Yeah, he's a consummate professional, right?
Yeah.
He's like he's the punch in, punch out sort of actor guy, right? He's like he's going to come in, he's going to do his lines, he's going to kill it, and he's going to go home.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you nailed it there. I mean, just like, I don't know. I mean, if you look at what his character, I mean, he gets tossed, he gets arrested, and then he comes back and finds like basically his mom disappeared,
just abandoned him. Yeah.
I mean, you feel for something like that, situations like that. It's I don't know. I mean, that's something that would you really wish that on a 14 or 15-year-old at the time?
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. Some 15-year-old kid is just abandoned, homeless essentially.
Yeah.
And that shit happens all the time. It's terrible.
Yeah. And just speaking of Sandy, I think that goes back to they explain in the show, like he could have been that kid, except for somebody helped him out, right?
Yeah, so, exactly. Let me ask you a question. How do you think this show changes if Ryan is black?
Oh, a lot more violence probably against him in the OC.
You got to figure, right? And not only that, I mean, you've got to imagine the backlash becomes more of a story, because Ryan's backlash of being there lasted about all of like 2 episodes, right? Like Julie Cooper is scandalized that this person from Chino is there until she was reminded that she grew up in Riverside.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I like how they come back to it, like, after, like, later in I think it's season 3, where she ends up living in the trailer park.
Yes, yep. And it's season 2 where they bring her sister back, or no, that's season 1. They bring her at the end of this season. They bring her sister back for the wedding preparations.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But let's get to Marissa. So Marissa Cooper. She's the rich girl next door. She I got a whole bunch of little notes here on Marissa Cooper, but one that stands out to me is that she makes smoking look pretty cool. So there's actually a whole story about the smoking scene, and like you have these 2 people who are portraying underage kids smoking on network television, and the Fox Standards and Practices people were like, yeah, no, you can't do that. And they managed to convince them to let him do it. And the only way they agreed is because Sandy comes and like squashes out the cigarette and says no more of that in my house. They said, okay, we'll let you do that because Sandy stomped out the cigarette and drew the appropriate boundaries. That's the only way we're going to let you do it. So,
and you know what? I don't think that they ever did, like, they showed him smoking ever in any episode afterwards. Actually, that's a good point.
Yeah. They allude to it, but they don't ever actually show it. So that's Marissa Cooper. It's Misha Barton, and you know her from the OC, but you might also know her from her topless scenes in Closing the Ring or Assassination of a High School President. These are not good movies, as evidenced by everyone going, well, wait a minute, I've never heard of those movies before. Yeah. If you have, it's because you looked up her topless scenes. So you definitely don't know her from a bunch of other movies that she's been in that are all rated below like 5s, and some of them even below 3s on IMDb.
Oh wow.
She's got a pretty it's a pretty bad murderer's row of terrible movies that she's been in. She's had some career struggles for sure.
Well, I was gonna say, I wonder how somebody like that, where you just basically explode onto the scene and just, maybe the pressure was too much for her, or
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe she got bad advice, or who knows? But yeah, like
Well,
she just
it's
kind of disappeared.
all of the above, right? It's like she got too much money and too famous too fast. And, that leads to substance issues, which Misha Barton definitely had. There's also the mental illness that goes kind of hand in hand with that. And, the she's hanging out with, she was hanging out with Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie at the time. And,
Ooh.
going out clubbing and partying, and Britney Spears, and that whole gang, they were hanging out together. So
Did I see Paris Hilton testifying like in front of Congress for some reason or another?
you did, yes, you did.
What was that for?
I don't know what she was testifying for, but she actually, I've been reading up a little bit on her. She's actually like pretty impressive.
Yeah.
She is. She's pretty impressive. She's smart, and she's got this whole persona that she puts on for her, influencing and marketing and everything else. But she's built this DJ career that she gets paid very, very good money to do. And she's got all these other businesses. She's like a captain of industry. It's something else.
Well, it's very similar to, like, she does make I think it's in season 1 where she makes the
Yes.
cameo
Yep.
playing herself
At the Rooney Show.
at the Rooney Show. I like Luca. It's just like, oh, that did not suck. I don't know. That whole episode just cracked me up.
I'm watching Rooney.
Who sings this song? Rooney. We should just keep it that way.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually Rooney is Rooney's a reference. I have Hey Remember 2004, and whenever we do one of those, we're gonna hear Howard Dean. But about Misha Barton, also she's on right now. I believe still. I'm not sure if it's still or if it was limited stint or whatever. But she was on Neighbours, which is a soap opera that's been running in Australia for like 40 years or 50 years or something like that. And Caleb's actor, the actor who plays Caleb, was actually on Neighbours in Australia before he was on the O.C. And so that's an interesting sort of link between them. But she's been on Neighbours very recently playing a character.
Oh,
so
all right. And it's still set in Australia, or it's an Australian show?
It's an Australian soap opera, yeah.
Okay.
And this interesting casting fact about the Marissa Cooper role, almost Olivia Wilde. But she ended up on Skin. And Skin is another show that premiered right around the same time as the O.C. That was a Romeo and Juliet sort of show about the daughter of a porn producer, played by Olivia Wilde, and the son of a district attorney who were getting romantically involved with each other. And the thing that everyone remembers, or the thing, if anyone remembers the show Skin, what they likely remember is this.
Father is the district attorney.
Because that promo ran on Fox during the baseball playoffs. That promo ran on Fox during American Idol. That promo ran on Fox constantly. His father is the district attorney. Just over and over and over and over again, they ran that promo. And that stands out distinctly in my mind as something that was happening at that time in 2004. But there's so much overlap there that we're not going to go in depth on the overlap between Skin and the O.C. on this podcast. But if you read the book, you'll read about all the different sort of touch points there are between Skin and the O.C. and, actors who were going to be on the O.C. and ended up on Skin, or vice versa, and producers and directors. And I mean, it's crazy, the amount of sort of overlap and touch that these shows had. And Skin basically got canceled after the first season, 8 episodes, I think. And the O.C. went on to have a very, very good run on Fox. So
Okay, I don't remember that show at all. Skin.
I remember the
I don't
promos.
remember
I
it.
never watched it, but I do remember I distinctly remember those promos.
You just remember that line.
That
Your
line that
father's
his father's the district attorney.
Yeah.
Maybe we talk about the Oliver. Let's talk about the Oliver storyline right now. Well, we can do this stuff out of order. It doesn't matter, right? Since we kind of referenced it, we'll talk about the Oliver storyline. And so, just to kind of summarize it, Oliver comes in about mid-season after the Tijuana overdose. Marissa is in therapy because Ryan told her that, hey, your boozing and your substance abuse is going to be a problem for me since my mom's an alcoholic. So can you kind of clean yourself up a little bit, or else we can't continue to do this. And which, by the way, incredibly mature thing for a 16-year-old boy to say.
Yeah, that's true.
And to be aware of, hey, look, my mom has damaged me so badly from being an alcoholic that I can't make these same mistakes. People have to usually be 40 before they figure that stuff out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Marissa goes to therapy, and at therapy she meets another gentleman who's in recovery, and his name is Oliver Trask, and he is the kind of quintessential soap opera villain of all soap opera villains. And Ryan immediately sees him for what he is. And it's because we're not so different, you and I. And it's like, he's using sort of the same tactics to seduce Marissa that Ryan was using to seduce Marissa earlier in the season, talking about her boyfriend being absent and letting her cry on his shoulder and all that stuff. And it's like, oh, I see what's going on here. I got to stop. I got to put an end to this. I don't think it's that he has some sort of criminal sixth sense. He just sees himself in Oliver and manages to sort of track that down. And then Luke also sees the same thing. He refers to Oliver as what did he call him? He calls him the Great Gatsby. And there's kind of a two-layer thing there, and it depends on how smart you think Luke is. Like, is he smart enough to realize that hey, in the Great Gatsby, that guy was a poser and a phony, and just like Oliver is, or is it just that he's this sort of young, partier kind of rich guy? And I like that they don't really answer that question.
No, they just leave it.
They just leave it out there. But it's I liked that. I liked that it could go either way, and that it's like, hey, maybe Luke is smarter than we think he is. He does go to prep school, right? I mean, he probably is.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I wrote down as sort of one of my theses was that I think the show is more artistically, like, is a higher artistic quality than it gets credit for. And I think there's some of the stuff that we see with Oliver especially is kind of an indication of that. There's the great scene where he's staging the suicide attempt. And he's dancing around to the Tom Jones song and like spilling pills everywhere and having a great time as he's prepping this horrible scene of his suicide attempt. And I'm like, this is really good stuff. This is like high quality, well thought out production, well done writing, very well executed on camera. Very, very good, I thought.
I think it's because this season is so long that they could have just if they wanted to shorten the season, just get rid of his character. But I think that as much as I like to trash his character on there, I think it does add something that you're talking about as far as like, oh, it's like I don't know if you would call it a detour, but it's just funny that like this happens over the first season.
Yeah.
Of the show.
Oh, I know. I know. Well, it's like episode 12 or something that he first shows up. It's not even, it's like 5 episodes in the middle of the first season. Like in any other show, the Oliver arc, again, like you say, lasts the entire season and is not a season 1 item by any stretch of the imagination, because you don't want to piss people off. And is also Well, I already said lasts the whole season. That's what I meant. So yeah. So it lasts the whole season, and or it should. And in this case, they burned through it in 5 episodes.